welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I'm just a girl who likes reading romance, fantasy romance, paranormal romance, any kind of genre of romance in general. And I also happen to have cerebral palsy, and it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today's video is going to be my September mid-month wrap-up. I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in the first half of September. I read a total of 19 books. The first couple books I'm going to go by fairly quickly because they're part of a series and I really can't explain much about the rest of the books in the series. If you watched my August end of the month wrap up, you know that I read the Everdark series and paranormal romance series, and we're following best friends Julian and Christian. Julian's parents were murdered by vampires, but nobody believed Julian when he said that. So Christian and Julian formed a YouTube channel to try to prove to everyone in the real world that vampires exist, because when his parents died, they left a diary about their adventures that they found Everdark, the place of vampires. Julian and Christian go to Everdark to look for answers, but then Julian accidentally reawakens the Vampire King, and they found out that Julian is the Vampire King's mate. Christian accidentally got turned into a vampire. So in order to help Christian, Julian agrees to be the Vampire King's mate, and he gets turned into a vampire himself. So I read that in my August and end of the month wrap up. And then I read The Vampire King's Return, and I gave that 4 stars. The Vampire King's Enemy, 5 stars. The Vampire King's Promise, 4 stars. Vampire King's Gift, 5 stars. The Vampire King's Surprise, 4 stars. The Vampire King's Weapon, 4 stars. The Vampire King's War, 4 stars. And the last book in the series, Book 9, I gave 5 stars. I listened to all the audiobooks on Hoopla, full cast narration. Each of the audiobooks are only like 3 hours long. Lucky Shot by Rebecca Jenshak, heroine who is an author, and she got a book deal with this publishing company for her debut contemporary sports novel, because she usually writes fantasy romance. And so she's very excited, but the publisher wants her to change the sport because she wrote about baseball, and the publisher wants her to change it to hockey. So she doesn't know anything about hockey. So her literary agent sets her up that she can shadow a hockey player. Hockey player is a single dad, and at first he didn't know about this whole setup situation, but his dad springs in on him, and it's the author heroine and the hockey player's romance, because they get to know each other when she's asking questions about hockey. And not only does the heroine bond with the hockey player, but she also bonds with the hockey player's son and the hockey player's dad. Book 4, Staff by Ella James, Stepbrother Romance. Book 5 stars. The Shadowman by Nyla K. It is the 5th and current book in the Alabaster Penitentiary series. Each of the books follow different couples, but there is an overarching plot. And for this book, a British hero, and I forgot the name of the other hero, but he is Korean, and he is the loner of the friend group. He feels like nobody in the friend group in the present understands him. Hero takes interest in the Korean hero, and this book follows the events of the previous book. I love this couple. This couple is my favorite in the series. I usually listen to the audiobooks in the series because I love the audiobooks. It's always someone to do at narration, but I needed to read this book. And when the audiobook comes out, you best believe I'm going to reread this book again because I had a great time with this book. Finlay, or I can't pronounce the title. I'll leave the picture of the book over here. It's a wolf shifter romance, and we're following the leader of the wolf pack, who thinks he's never going to find his fated mate because he was in love with his best friend's wife, who used to be the alpha of the pack. But since his wife and his daughter's death, he left the pack, and now the hero is in charge of the pack. And so he thought he was never going to find his fated mate. But then he goes into town and meets this florist and realizes this human is his fated mate. But this florist doesn't know anything about the werewolf shifters. And the florist has also just got out of an abusive relationship, and the florist lived on his property, and to get the florist to open up to him, he shifts in his wolf side. Florist hero thinks that his wolf side is a dog and that he is lost, so he opens up to the hero in his wolf form without realizing that the wolf is actually the hero. I give this book 5 stars. The Cursed Legacy series by Morgan B. Lee is a wide-choose fantasy paranormal romance. And I read this series because of my friend Jess from Peace Love Books. Blood Oath, I gave 4 stars. And Shadow Heart, I gave 5 stars. Basically, in this series, in book 1, we follow Maven, who is a caster, and she has to attend this university for supernaturals for a reason. In this university, there is this thing, I forgot what they call it, but there's this ceremony where the gods choose your quartet. Basically, they choose who you're mated to, and they call that a quartet. And Maven is chosen to be the keeper of the quartet. The keeper is the one that keeps the pack together, whom who makes everyone in the quartet feel better, and her other four fated mates are a dragon shifter, a succubus, an ice elemental. I always forget the fourth one, but when she gets chosen to be with the top dogs of the university, she's like, no, I reject you. I don't want to be your mate. But her fated mates will not take no for an answer. King of Pain, an MM romance, and this is one of my favorite romances this year. And basically, we're following Anthony and Chase. Anthony and Chase work at the same record shop, and they bond over their love of 80s music. And when Anthony and Chance lock eyes, there's an immediate attraction and connection with them. This is a slow burn romance. Anthony has been through a lot of hard stuff, like please check your trigger warnings. There's an essay not seen on page, but it's spoken of. Chase is the hero that escaped from the mafia, and I just love Anthony and Chase so much. 5 stars. The Fall by Tal Bauer, and I really can't say too much about this book because I don't want to give anything away, but basically we're following Tori, who had a concussion from an injury he's taken on the ice. He's a hockey player, and he wakes up from the injury 1 year later, finding himself in a relationship with Blair, the captain of a rival hockey team. He also finds out he's on Blair's hockey team, and for the first time in Tori's life, he is happy. He is happy with Blair, is happy in this new team, in his new life, but he just can't figure out how he got there in the first place. And even though he's happy for the first time in a long time, he just can't feel content. And he gets into another accident. Tori and Blair's romance, oh, it was so sweet. This book was heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time, and I loved it. 5 stars. The Shards of Ophelia, and it's book 2 in the Curse of Ophelia series. And I decided I'm not going to continue on with the series because book 2 in this series went in a direction that I didn't want it to go. And Chasing Forever by Purple Rain, and we're following Lonnie, who she wakes up in Vegas, and she wakes up in Vegas married to Beckett, her ex-fiance's brother. And Lonnie wants a divorce, but Beckett sees this as a sign to finally win over his dream girl, because Beckett has been in love with Lottie for a really long time, but Lottie was always his brother, always his brother's girlfriend, and Lottie wants a divorce. Beckett agrees to this divorce, but only if she agrees to give him 7 days to convince her that they belong together. and this book was really sweet. I listened to the audiobook. It was on Hoopla. It was told in duet narration style with Vanessa Edwin and Stephen Dexter. I give it 4 stars. When I Should Have Stayed by Max Monroe. And this is book 2 in a series. And I can't remember the name of the series. Josie and Chase. Josie is the sister of the heroine in book 1, and Chase is the best friend of the hero in book 2. And it's their second chance romance. You know, from book 1, you know that Chase and Josie got married, but then they divorced. But in book 1, you find out that Chase never signed the divorce papers. And I liked this book. It was a good second chance romance. But I thought, like, this book spent way too much time with them in the past and not in the present, so the past chapters took over the present chapter. But it was still a really good story. I still enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Those are all the books that I read in the first half of September. Please let me know what are the books that you read for the first half of September. I would love to know. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Liking this video would help me out a lot. And I'll see you Friday. Bye.